World War I is one of the most important and iconic events of the 20th century. Beginning in 1914, this war was the largest war in the history of the world. This war started from a conflict between two small countries in Europe, but eventually spread to the rest of the world, including Africa, parts of Asia, Australia, and eventually America. This was the first big event of the century, but not the last. World War I sparked many other major events in the 20th century, including World War II, the Cold War, and the Great Depression. The chaotic conflict of World War I was the result of many different problems in the world. The two most prominent and important causes for this war were nationalism and imperialism. While some other things helped set the stage for the war, without them, World War I could have been prevented. During this time, imperialism was very widespread and also was the cause of nationalism in some smaller countries. Imperialism was a big issue in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The large European nations were constantly searching for new colonies to add to their economic power. When large countries like Britain, Germany, and France took over a bunch of smaller countries, their large gains of land and citizens made them even bigger and more powerful. So when these large countries decided to join World War I, because of all the small colonies that they had made around the world, these small colonies were forced to fight with them. Alliances were also an important cause of the war. Countries were constantly making alliances with each other. When two countries made an alliance, they agreed to assist the other whenever they were in need. This included military support, so when one country joined the war, all of their allies came in to back them up. This is how the war went from a conflict between two countries to an entire world war. Nationalism was prevalent in early 20th century Europe and was a significant cause of World War I. Nationalism was the most obvious case for the war, as it ultimately caused the original conflict between Serbia and Austria-Hungary. Serbia was tired of being controlled by Austria-Hungary and wanted their freedom to be a nation of their own. As a result of this, a group of Serbian nationalists called the Black Hand assassinated the Archduke of Austria-Hungary, Franz Ferdinand. Austria-Hungary immediately declared war on Serbia for this, and Serbia, being a small country, relied on its former alliances to assist it in its quest for freedom. After 4 grueling years of destructive bloodshed, almost 9 million soldiers died and about 21 million more wounded. The conflict finally ended in 1918 with an agreement called the Treaty of Versailles. Germany kind of got ripped off with this treaty because the rest of the world thought that it was Germany's fault, so they decided to punish them with this treaty by forcing them to take all of the blame for the war, give up large amounts of their land, and then pay for all the damage that they had done. Count Brockdorff Rantzau, the leader of the German delegation, said to the Versailles States, "Those who sign this treaty will sign the death sentence of many millions of German men, women, and children." Germany believed that this treaty wasn't fair and that they felt tricked. The treaty took away land from Germany, weakened their economy, and also humiliated them. World War I impacted the rest of the 20th century in many ways. First, it changed the way that wars were fought. World War I introduced tons of new weapons like tanks, planes, flamethrowers, and chemical gases. It also introduced a new form of warfare called trench warfare. This made the war especially terrible and slow because it took so long for an army to advance. World War I also changed the shape of the world that we live in today. Many new countries were established as a result of World War I, and many others were lost. A few countries that were destroyed as a result of the war are the Russian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, Bosnia, and Serbia. A few that were created as a result of the war are Turkey, Yugoslavia, Hungary, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and many others. Although the Treaty of Versailles ended World War I, it is a big reason for the start of World War II. This is a quote from a German newspaper after the treaty was signed. "This disgraceful treaty is being signed today. Don't forget it. We will never stop until we win back what we deserve." Germany was very angry with the unfairness and terms of the treaty. They used these bad terms and their anger as an excuse to start World War II. And each of these events had their own effect on the world. So without World War I, we would live in a very different world today.